Ready to rock. Test 1, 2.
Hellfest Day 3 with Jeff from Annihilator.
Yeah. Hello. Hot. Jeff from Annihilator. I'm hot.
Yeah. We decided to change the name from Hellfest to Dustfest. I think everything here is just gone brown.
We just got here a couple hours ago, and our main carpet on the main floor of the tour bus is full of dust.
Yeah. I think it's now got to the cars have been parked outside for so far, all 3 days, it's about an inch thick.
Wow. But that's metal, isn't it?
It is metal. This is what we do for fun.
Yeah, sure.
Right. So tell me a bit about Annihilator. What are you up to at the moment?
Hang on. It's a piece of grass in the microphone.
Yeah.
Now I'm ready.
Right.
Oh, we're just here at the mighty Hellfest for the second time. We haven't been here since 2010. So when we came in here, we were driving in noticing, wow, this has changed a lot for the better. And it was still great back in 2010. But we're just in the middle of spending all of June in Europe. Very rough life us Canadians have. And just playing festivals every weekend and flying back and forth or taking a tour bus and just relaxing. We're doing it in style this year. We're not trying to make money, we're trying to enjoy ourselves and have a vacation. So we're just the nicest buses, the best travel, nicest hotels, gaining a lot of weight, and just having a good vacation, you know. I think what happened is we do a lot of, our popularity's gone up a lot in the last 5-6 years, so we get a lot of work shows in the summer. And the way we did it before was I was always, you know, trying to keep the costs down, and you know, we do pretty well, but I was always trying to make sure everything was done, the cheapest flights and the cheapest everything. And it just became, we'd spend the whole summer in beautiful Europe, but we wouldn't get to enjoy it. We'd be traveling and going to airports and doing all this stuff that is not fun. And we really actually would finish the summer and go back to Canada. Fall would start, it would start to get cold. And we just did nothing this summer except spend time in planes and hotels with some festival fun on the weekends. And this summer we're going to make it a 1-month vacation.
Oh, that's a
yeah, it's great. And our shows are better now because we're relaxed.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
So, recording-wise, what are you up to at the moment?
We coming off a record we did last year called Feast. And okay, I'm boasting, I'm proud, I'm happy, but it was our biggest selling record since 1996. So for us, that's a very good sign, and festivals around Europe had been reacting to that, saying instead of playing at 4 in the afternoon, well, I think we're playing at 5 something here, but most festivals were saying, would you like to come and co-headline or headline or play after dinner? And we're like, oh my God, we have to hire a light man now because it's dark out. So we're enjoying, and then more money you get paid for the festivals, so we're living like kings. But we're just, before this festival run, we're doing 3 months in Europe basically. We were supposed to be writing a record, so in January I got in my studio and I decided, okay, I'm just going to upgrade everything in my recording studio. 3 weeks maybe. It was 3.5 months later I was still getting gear in. And then I thought, okay, now I'm going to get writing before the summer festivals. And then I got 2 little puppy dogs, like little tiny wiener, we call them wiener dogs, little tiny little, whatever they're called, designer dogs. Nice, real metal. They're about this big. And that took up a month or 2 of my life, and it was all hell. So I got nothing done. Then festivals. So in September I'm going to go back and actually get to work and have fun in the studio.
You hope.
Unless we have another dog or something.
Something happens. But that's what it's all about, isn't it?
It's hot. Yeah.
So, what is your next festival that you're going to, or your next tour date?
Let me see. We go to Germany. Spend about 5 days with our amplifier endorsement company called Hughes and Kettner. And we're going to hang out there and have fun and rehearse a bit and do some promotion for them. And in return, they're going to feed us like kings, of course. Steak. Part of our vacation summer, right? And then we go to Graspop that next weekend, and then the night after Graspop we're at Czech Republic for a very cool festival, and then we go home. So we have a week or 2 off at home, and then we fly back and start it all over again.
And while you're on tour, besides eating, and having fun.
And eating and having fun.
What do you manage to do to keep yourself fit?
We don't. I picked up this awesome habit. I'm 48 years old, and at 46 I decided to pick up the habit of smoking cigarettes. Isn't that a brilliant idea? Kids out there, don't smoke, but when you get older, smoke. It's great. You wake up coughing, and it's just a mess. So I'm going to try to quit soon. That's part of my fun. What else do? We have lots of days off. Go shopping, sightseeing, laying around bed, eating steak for lunch and for dinner. That's pretty well it. We really don't do anything else.
Yeah.
We rehearse a bit too.
It sounds good fitness regime.
Yeah, there's no fitness thing. But before I started this silly smoking thing, I was actually in great shape 2 years ago and going to a gym and eating properly and caring about my life. And then last 2 years it's been like one of these lazy, lie around, screw it kind of things. But after 2 years you start realizing this is not 2 months, this is 2 years. I better get my shit together real quick physically, or this isn't going to carry on much longer. So next time you see me, I'll be in fantastic shape and looking 20.
Okay. If you had a chance to write your band, or you yourself personally, write a theme to any film, what sort of film would it be?
Edit. Pause. You got me on that one now.
Would it be like something like the Expendables movie, you know, one of those action one, or a horror, or a romantic comedy?
District 9, something like Pan's Labyrinth or District 9.
Sci-fi.
Something, yeah, Pan's Labyrinth for the dreamy, spacey but evil undertones, and yeah, District 9 for that distorted alien killer guitar.
So anybody out there going to be watching the video and the interview, if you're looking for someone to write music for your film score along those lines,
I don't need money, just food and cigarettes. But there's September 1st is my deadline, so you better get me before then. Okay, I'll stop with that food theme. I'm not that bad.
No, you're looking good.
It's all okay.
So, Annihilator, you're not exactly new on the circuit. You've been around a little while.
We're new to the British.
Yeah, new to us.
And some of the two Scandinavian countries and England have been places where we were popular up until 1992, and then we pretty much seemed to disappear. And that's the same with Canada and the United States. We actually had, around 92, our popularity went up everywhere else with an album called King of the Kill, but we disappeared from the other places, right? So a lot of times, you know, we try our best to get to the UK. We try to get on Bloodstock or something there. No luck. I mean, they want us, but it's always like, okay, here's a bag of chips. It's always food, right? Hopefully Bloodstock will give us enough money to get there and do it, because we'd love to play there. But we just haven't had much luck there, and we haven't toured there much as a result. Not that we don't want to, but when you're not selling records or doing that well in a territory, they don't want you there, basically. But we do have some fans there. We hope we get back. We went back there with Trivium in 2007, and it was fantastic. We'd have Trivium fans coming up to us backstage or back where the buses are. And I remember a girl coming up, 15, 16-year-old girl, coming up to me and say, you know what, you guys are really good. Is this your first or second album? And we were like on our 10th or 11th. And I was like, no, we've had a few more than that, and you sign it. And then they became, some of those Trivium fans actually came over to the dark side, the Canadian side, and bought our records. So that's the beginning of when we started to start selling records again.
I mean, it's a difficult industry anyway. How much have you seen it change in the last, say, 10 years?
Tons of changes. I mean, you could, okay, you know, I'm gonna say with the internet and all that stuff, but the internet's been a blessing because for communication and, you know, just any young band that has really good songs can get their song heard by a label and people and magazines, press, fanzines, whatever around the world in minutes. After you upload it and send a link, it's done, and it's been the best tool for young bands. It's been great for the biggest bands. the internet and everything else. A lot of them would complain about how much money they lose and all that, but there's the promotion that it gives the bigger bands is incredible. It's the mid-level bands in the metal world, like the Testament, Exodus, Overkill, Annihilator, Creator, Destruction. These bands, it hurt badly. So as a result, you had, I guess, out of the bands I said, Testament, Overkill.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go for that again. Testament, Overkill, Annihilator, Exodus. Those 4 bands, just off the top of my head, and that flies head, had to change musicians. Those 4 bands I mentioned, we were going through musicians like flies over the.
It shows we're live.
I'm getting angry at that fucking thing. We went through lots of lineup changes because it was hard to keep the business of music or metal going, and sometimes you'd have to hire flies to play in your band, and flies to play in your band, and but we kept going. We never stopped. The bands I mentioned didn't give up when the times were tough and CD sales tanked. But the great thing is when people started discovering, young kids started, the pop punk thing was big in the United States and Canada, and you see bands like Sum 41, Blink-182 wearing Motorhead shirts, Van Halen shirts, Slayer shirts, which was kind of strange for me as a fan. But that influenced a lot of young kids. Who's Slayer? Who's Priest? Who's Motorhead? Who's Iron Maiden? When those guys got their dues and it came back for them with the young people, then it was time to discover Testament, Exodus. Wow, there's some cool bands in that area. And that's where the internet helped us, and now bands like Testament, and hopefully us, are putting out some of our best music. Of course, some of it's never going to be as good as some of the original albums, but Testament is now making lots of money, working hard, doing many shows. We're doing the same thing. Exodus is getting their dues. They got their old singer back. Overkill's never stopped. So it's a good time.
It's the same here with the British bands. Entour's making a comeback, Virus.
Yeah.
All those, they're suddenly now getting it back in there. I mean, Virus has just done a huge tour in Europe and went really, really well.
Yeah. Well, for me, one thing I like is, as a fan, because I am a metal fan, is I like singling out the bands that didn't stop, that didn't break up, cut their hair, go get a real job, which is totally fine, and I get that because I almost did the same thing. I actually did cut my hair, but I didn't get a real job, stayed with the music. I really appreciate the bands like I mentioned, Testament, Overkill, Exodus, Annihilator, Creator, Destruction, who had their times when everything went bad, and they could have given up and everybody would have understood, but we didn't stop. Even if we didn't have England, Scandinavia, United States, Canada, we worked our ass off everywhere else, never came back for a big reunion and get together. So I kind of have a preference to those bands, even if I don't like their music. It's like they're the best guys in the world, right? So
that's it. I mean,
for metal,
it seemed to me that metal was going on a certain level. All of a sudden, it just dropped out. It just went, and now it's like, okay, it's coming back slowly. I think they always said you can never kill off metal; it'll always be there.
Yeah, it's never going to get back to where it was.
No.
You're never going to have another Metallica, Slayer. You're never going to have that, but we still have hard drives and MP3s and records and CDs, and we'll always remember them. But I don't think there's ever going to be another band that comes and starts like Metallica that does what they did and that. But they're going to inspire some very good bands.
But what happens when, like, Lightfire Maiden and Metallica, these get too old to perform anymore? Who's going to take this then? If bands aren't supported to get to
I think the people that'll take the place are not going to be the commercial, major label commercial bands that write their new album and sound just like the Black Album, or it's not going to be that kind of band. It's going to be somebody that says, I don't give a crap about money, labels, bullshit. I'm just going to write angry or good metal music inspired by the classics. And then I think we'll see a big wave of this stuff coming out. And then eventually the labels will pick up that there's money in it, and then it might come right back.
Right. And what advice do you have for any new bands coming up?
I don't know, just enjoy yourself, be healthy. As I explained that I'm smoking now, but I mean healthy as in drugs and alcohol. I'm not going to preach. I am a father, so I'm allowed to be fatherish, right? I'm 48. You gotta learn different instruments, you gotta like different styles of music, you gotta take on the role of You know, if you're a guitar player, learn how to work a drum machine or a drum software, Toontrack's, Metal Foundry, or Superior Drummer 2. Learn how to not rely on other people for your music. If you're a writer, if you're one of the main guys that's writing, learn how to sing, learn how to write lyrics, learn how to get behind a drum kit and play some drums. Even if you're not very good at it, learn so that you don't have to rely on other people, and learn about the business side of it. And the only way you can do that is if you're not fucked up on booze and drugs, and you just try to stay as clean as you can, but have fun at the same time.
Okay, well, Jeff, thank you so much for giving us some of your time, and look forward to seeing you later.
In the UK, I hope.